All right, we're looking at a picture of a brick of someone who scratched 999 on there. And that person would have been an inmate of 999 sometime in the late 19th centuries or early 20th century. And this person didn't have any money, no doubt. Most of the people in the asylum didn't. And yet they're profiting off all of these pictures. The photographer took it in the Camh Foundation. They're being sold for $200 to $600, as we found out today when I came to this display. A few days ago, there was an article in the Toronto Star about this exhibit, about the writings on the wall by inmates of the old asylum. And I wrote a letter to the editor. It was a short letter, hoping it would get in. I couldn't put everything in I wanted, but I kept it short, hoping it would get in. But it wasn't accepted, it didn't get in, so here I am reading it now in memory of all of these people who scratched their initials or names or ideas or X's or years on this wall. So this is what I wrote. Dear editor, near not just another brick in the wall, October 23, 2007. This article whitewashes history when it states that psychiatric patients built the 19th century Toronto asylum boundary walls as a, quote, therapeutic exercise, unquote. Exploitative exercise, quote, unquote, would be a more accurate description. Under the veneer of moral therapy, inmates toiled for no pay during the 19th and much of the 20th centuries at provincial asylums, including 999 Queen Street West. The condescending attitude that still describes this labor as therapeutic, quote-unquote, ignores the skills asylum inmates already had prior to being confined and which were then exploited by the operators of these facilities to literally save the province, quote, tens of thousands of dollars, end quote, as Toronto Superintendent Daniel Clark boasted after the still standing east and west boundary walls were rebuilt in 1888-89, 3 decades after the still existing 1860 south wall had been built by patients. This was work that deserved to be paid but wasn't compensated due to prejudices which are still with us today. Now that letter wasn't printed, but nevertheless it doesn't ultimately have any impact on the fact that all of these people's writings deserve to be remembered in other ways, and we're not going to forget them under any circumstances. So there are other ways of getting our fellow former inmates remembered by those of us in the psych survivor community in print and in person, and we'll continue to do so. Unlike others, we're not going to try to profit off it in terms of the money not going back to the psych survivor community. We're going to try to make sure that whatever is done with these images, and we'll try to have something done where the people who created the etchings on the wall are remembered in a way that respects them rather than exploits them. So let's not forget ever those people who scratched their names on the wall, and remember them brick by brick without exception.